Welcome to today's webinar, courtesy of the Kentucky Small Business Development Center right here in Louisville. We're all about hooking you up with free, super secret business coaching and training services. It doesn't matter if you're just dipping your toes in or gearing up for a big expansion. We've got the goods, the tools, and the know-how to help you win. To get the scoop, cruise on over to LouisvilleSmallBusiness.com or hit us up at 502-977-5800. Big thanks for tuning in to today's webinar. Feel free to drop your questions or chat it up with our speaker using the chat feature. Let's dive in.
Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Dave Eck. I'm the director here at the Louisville Small Business Development Center. Thanks for joining me today. It's going to be a little bit lonely today because I'm here all by myself. It's just me today. So again, as always, because I am unsupervised and I don't have any help today, I just want to make sure everybody can hear me, that there's actually people out there. So if you wouldn't mind, as always, just look at the bottom of the screen. You should see a toolbar. And if you don't, just scroll down there and it should pop up. And there you'll see the little chat button. If you click that, it'd be great if you would just tell me your name, where you're joining from, so you can hear and see me okay, and that I'm just not talking to myself today. So I'm going to go ahead and say hello too, just so we are really going for. All right, there's Dwayne. Hey, Dwayne. Dwayne in Lexington. Wow. Hi, Kira, Armetta, Dwayne, yep, Lamont, hello, Mandy, Hernando, Mississippi. Mandy, thanks for joining us. I don't know how you found us, but I'm glad you did. What's the temperature there in Mississippi today? It's got to be a little bit warmer than it is here because it's hot here. Wife from Louisville. Amy, Louisville, Emma, hi Emma, Lamont. And Tyson, great to see you guys. Thanks for joining. April, hi April. Oh, Missouri, nice to see you. Another SBDC person. Hey, Erin, Shepherdsville. Claire Bridges. Now, Claire's also an SBDC person. She's on our team here at Louisville Small Business Development Center. Selena, Karina, Atlanta. Yeah, Karina, we'll all be there in September for a big SBDC conference there. So I'll also be speaking there at that conference. So stop on over and say hello to us. There's Patricia. She's also with us here in our E-Town branch. Good to see you. Hey, Mandy. I guess it is hot. Yeah, I was in Mississippi a while back, and it was pretty warm. So stay cool down there. Hey, Sandra. All right, and then Liz. Thanks for everybody for popping in like that and saying hello. I really appreciate that. Again, I'm Dave Eck. I'm the director here at the Louisville Small Business Development Center. We, our mission, as you've seen, is to help you grow and grow your business. Maybe get funding or help you start your business, whatever you need. We're a free service. We're here to help. We're all over the country, and there's 14 centers here just in Kentucky where you can always find somebody. You go to our website either at KentuckySBDC.com or LouisvilleSmallBusiness.com. You can get some more information. So thanks for joining me today. And I will now, without screwing things up, hopefully, I will work on just sharing my screen. Let's get going, because this idea of productivity has been really on top of mind. So those of you guys who are lucky enough, well, I wouldn't say lucky enough, but if you have been getting our newsletter, my little portion of it, I've been focused on the last year on this whole subject is what I've been writing and learning and researching, is the idea of productivity. And It all started from my team and I. We had a strategic planning session about a year ago, about this time actually last year. And, we were looking for the usual, going forward and planning and stuff. And I asked, what was the main thing that was holding us all back? And almost unanimously, everyone said the same thing. They said, productivity, time management. We don't have enough time to do what we need. It's really hard. And, you know, and when I was thinking about it, I really realized that, back in the pandemic or prior to the pandemic, we, had a certain pace and we worked very well. When the pandemic hit, our world changed, and suddenly we were just inundated with folks that needing this and that, and we just jumped in all full bore. And my whole strategy before the pandemic was just, you just work harder and get through it, and things will get better. But as I found that really didn't work at all. I was probably just fooling myself. Burned out two coaches and lost some great people here on my team because of that. It got to the point where I realized that, my physical well-being was being harmed. My health was taking a downturn. So I really needed to figure out and do something. And I was really happy to have that strategy session with my team, because that was just the final wake up call, slap in the face. I need to do something and really need to change the way, I work with people, I work with myself, and the way I bring myself as a person to the world. So what I'm going to do today is just share some things that I've learned, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not a productivity expert. This is not my field, and I'm just going to share with you, what I've learned and what I've been doing, and it kind of works for me. And take it, as just an advisement. You can do anything you want. Do your own research, as they say, and see what works for you. So hopefully everybody, let's see, let me press this here. Hopefully, yeah. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen and see my slides there. There we go. All right. Thank you for all those thumbs up. It's so much better. Thank you. Oh, you guys. So anyway, so this is me. There's my contact info. I'm going to send you all these slides here probably tomorrow sometime, and then also share the recording of this so you can watch it, whenever you want, time and time again. But again, reach out to us if you think we can help you in any way. It's always great to just meet everybody and see if we can make a difference. If you go to our website, LouisvilleSmallBusiness.com, up at the top, you'll see a little link that, a little button, a little tab that says Coach Connect. Click on that. You'll be able to see all of us. You can schedule, a chat with any of us. We just generally do Zoom meetings, and you can see our calendars. You can pick out some time for yourself. Don't have to talk to anybody. You just click and say you're coming, and we'll be there waiting for you. So make sure you do that. So there's a team and I. There's me, the taller one, and then right to the left of me is Tiffany. She's kind of moved on, but we miss her already. I haven't changed the picture yet. And then there's Janet and Claire and Rhonda. Great team. Please reach out to them, engage with them, because they're here to help and they want to do it. So give them that opportunity. So couple things. This whole idea of productivity, it's not to do more stuff. I don't think this is my assessment. It's not to grind more work out of more hours of the day. I mean, that's, is that a way? Is that what the way you want to, on your deathbed, you think, wow, I really knocked it out of the park. I was working 18 hours a day and it was fantastic and I lived a great life. No one would do that. So the idea of productivity is it has to be a bit more holistic. And it's not about the output, because what I'm thinking is that it kind of goes hand in hand. If you can kind of come up with, I think that the real purpose is this is like, to make progress towards your goals and what's important to you and what you are happy doing, what brings you joy. Um, if if you are, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you love, um, those are the things that are going to be productive at. So the bottom line is, when you feel good, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, you are just naturally more productive. No one has to force someone who loves gaming to turn on their PS5 and have at it. They, because they love doing it and they'll want to do it and want to do it more. They don't have to schedule time to that, anything like that. So the point I'm making is that you have to start with yourself. You have to figure out what it is about you that you need to change. And let's kind of dive into that. So there's kind of four things that we'll talk about today, and like understanding fear and procrastination. I mean, procrastination is pretty prevalent. I mean, I've had a problem with this and kind of figured out why with a little bit of research. Some ways to do some good intentional goal setting, and then organizing your time, and then a few little actionable tips and tricks that you can achieve more. And hopefully there'll be a few minutes at the end where we can do some Q&A. If you have any questions or comments, just put them in the chat. But also at the end and also in the chat, I'd really love to hear some of your tips that, what works for you, or what resonated with anything that I said today, or what do you want to try to do more of? And so we can kind of share that with everybody and kind of figure out what we all do well and what works for us, and share that so everybody can benefit from it. So honestly, this was just when I kind of came across this research, this was just kind of a mind-blowing thing for me, because procrastination is really based. It's really an emotional thing, not that you're lazy or whatever, or you can't do things. It's an emotional response to fear, and you may not even realize that this is the thing, but it is almost it's a negative feeling, but chronic procrastination, when people have trouble, completing their tasks or the work, it's generally something other than they just don't want to do it. They're not lazy or anything like that. So the other interesting thing about procrastination is, like, a person that tends to procrastinate a lot of work will spill over into other areas of their life as being a procrastinator, and that can be detrimental, because they may procrastinate about their health. They just won't go to the doctor for whatever reason. So it's interesting. I'm not going to do my Yoda voice, but I wish I had a good Yoda voice. And so if anybody out there has one, I would like to hear it one day. But to understand and confront a fear, you have to identify it. And it's just that simple. So I've been reading a lot about, I don't know if anybody's come across Ryan Holiday, and he's really dug deep into this Stoic philosophy and how it can be really repurposed for the modern life. And this whole idea of Seneca is the one that really kind of posited this as the premeditatio malorum, the way you really hang on and ruminate and have great big fear about things that may happen, or, but most likely won't. Um, a lot of problems really, even if you do nothing, they'll go away. So I can't remember the exact quote, but there's something along the lines of the, the the coward on the battlefield dies a million deaths, but the brave soldier only dies one, and that just torturing yourself and trying and reliving all kinds of different scenarios is debilitating. So we came across I don't know if anybody's read Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Workweek, but it's a fairly older book now, but it's still got some cool stuff in it. And the one thing is taking this idea, the Stoic idea of the premeditatio malorum, and really putting it down on paper and looking at it and then doing something about it. And I was talking a little bit um, about the military aspect of this, but it's sort of the same way. But the exercise is this: you define your fears in order to reduce the likelihood of it happening by doing something about it. So this is almost the idea of in any type of planning of doing contingency planning. So here's our plan. We hope to do this, but if this happens, then we do this, and that makes it when you name those different fears and have a plan for them, then that fear response is way less. So Tim Ferriss just puts it into 3 buckets, and you have to sit down for a bit and do this, but you just define your fears. What are they? What could you do to prevent those fears? And then even if they happen, what would you do to fix it? So here's a couple of fears that he mentions, Tim does. I'm going to run out of money. So what can you do to prevent it? Well, I can start doing some freelance stuff on the side and reduce my cost of living now just in case. And if it happens, I can reach out to contacts and start applying for jobs. Another fear he had was when he was getting started, is he wouldn't succeed out on his own. So he thought, not to prevent that, I'll get coaching advice or mentors, and then we'll just have some plan Bs going, like work for line up some other work if I need to. And the other fear is the fear of moving forward, of launching. So what you want to list out the benefits. You want to look at the flip side. What are the benefits of an attempt or a partial success? So even though he failed at going out on his own, he learned new skills, and he learned what he was capable of doing on his own. He built relationships with new people. Never went about what if that would have happened. And then what are the downside of not doing anything? So, what would happen 6 months, 1 year or 3 years if you had done nothing or didn't take this chance? So, hopefully, with putting this goal setting in place and doing not goal setting, but fear setting, and then having some contingency plans to pull back if you need to, then kind of gives you up the mental bandwidth. And this whole idea of mental and emotional bandwidth is really key because that's another thing that can prevent you from moving forward a lot. And by removing the fears and the stress associated with that, it really helps in all other areas of your life. So let's think about where we go from there. What will we do to get goals in place that it would be effective in all areas of our lives? So I like to start with this exercise. This was a cool exercise I came across, and it helps prioritize the areas of your life in a balanced way. and put some things in place that way. So basically, if you think of your life as this wheel, shit, um, then there's three areas of your life that are important, and that is important to everyone. And this, just as a little aside, it's kind of interesting when people are launching products. If you can find a product that can address or solve some problem in these three areas, generally it can be a success. So that's a discussion for another class. But so here they are. So I'm going to take my little wheel of my life, and I'm going to divide it into three sections. So we want to talk about my health, which is important because if you don't have health, you don't have anything. My relationships, strong relationships help with my health and everything else in my life. And then I just say work, which can mean anything in business or investing or whatever. But I can also take these as broad topics. I can break them down into three smaller buckets in each of the big three buckets. So let's start with health. So I have my physical health, I have my mental health, and I have my spiritual health. And then in work, I have my job, my career, and business. I have my money, my personal finances, and then just use growth with, and this is kind of vague, but it just mean you can kind of adjust this to what you think. But this can mean anything like, am I growing in a career wise and moving forward in some way? Oops. And then relationships. I have my family, my immediate family, my brothers and sisters, and my friends, and then my romantic relationships. So this is what your next step is this is something great to do early in the morning. This is the way I do it anyway. But periodically, maybe once a month is when I work on this, is you rate each one of these different pieces in your life, just from 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest and it being like the center of the wheel, and 10 being the outer diameter of the wheel, so I can kind of graphically see where I am. So I did this a bit ago, and I'll share it with you now and kind of talk through it. So how I did this. So I'll start with my physical. I gave myself a physical well-being or health in 8. I guess about 10 years ago, I went through a real hard health crisis, and it was kind of hard. So I've been really mindful of it since then, and I work out a lot. I take care of myself as much as possible. My mental health, I've just in this last year been understanding how bad my stress has been and some other things. So I've been cognizant of that. And then my spiritual, I've been doing some things to kind of develop that area of my life as well. My job and career, I gave myself an 8, doing okay there. Money, I'm back down to a 5. Had some stuff that went on a couple of years ago that kind of pushed me back. And then my growth is, since I've been kind of rebuilding, haven't been growing all that much. With my family, it's kind of low. I come from a giant Catholic family, and I have 6 brothers and sisters. And I don't know, Christmas, holidays, there's 80 of us that show up all together. But I've been kind of neglecting them because of some other things, and got sideways with a few of them. And then my friends, I just haven't had time to devote anything to that. Doing okay in the romantic thing. I found a great partner, and I'm very happy with that. So I've rated myself in these things, and I want to add a little bit more flavor to this. And just you can do whatever you want, but I generally try to fill things in just so I can step back and see the big picture. So, I'll get some markers on my wheel and I'll fill them in like this. So I'll fill in my physical, my mental, my spiritual. They were about the same, a little bit better on my career business. Money a little bit lower, growth lower, family, and then friends, and then my romantic life. So that lets me look very quickly and see graphically, there's some areas that I should probably prioritize in this next period. Like I said, I do this monthly. So if I was to pop through here and prioritize things, I would say, well, I'm going to think about some things to, help and repair my friendships as well as my family. Maybe do some things about my personal finances, and then have some ideas about my mental well-being that I want to do. So, the thing about there's this old saying that you can do anything you want, but you just can't do everything you want. So you have to figure out what these priorities are. Where do you want to work? And it doesn't mean that this is your priority for the rest of your life. This is your priority for whatever period you're working in this way. So now that I have my priorities, I think about what I'm going to do about it and put that through. So one cool little trick is since this whole idea is not to grind more, not to do more stuff, but kind of flip things around and think about what makes me happy with these things. How can I be more balanced and more joyous in my life? And through that, I'll be more productive. And so instead of saying I will, I will increase my income by X number of dollars by the end of the year, kind of flip something on its head and say instead of being this negative, I will do this. It's like, what do I want to celebrate this year? What is it that's going to make me happy and bring joy to my life? So, what are the things that I'm going to celebrate in the year? So, and understand that when you're celebrating something, why is it this priority? Why is it important to you? And then write these goals down, and nothing is really real until you write it down and have it where you can look at it. We've all seen the SMART goals where it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. These goals, this framework is not all that. I mean, I don't find it all that effective. I can set goals all year long, and I'm really good at ignoring them. But there's another way to really think about it. It's like what you want is the outcome in a way. And normally you would do this measurable, set up metrics to track progress and things like that. But it doesn't focus so much on the process. And so this is another cool thing I came across called NICE goals. And this really is super effective. This really works. So instead of focusing on the goals, on the end game, you focus on the process. So, and the process needs to be in small chunks. You might have a year-end goal, but you just figure out what you need to do in a week or daily, or what you need to do to make this happen. So the other thing is that these goals have to be what's called input based. Like I need to just do this action, and if I do this action, then the goal will take care of itself. So instead of fixating on the end game, you fixate on and focus on just daily things, that whatever they are. And these goals need to be what you can control, your actions directly. And the goals have to be, your things that you're doing, they have to be fun and motivating. Otherwise, you're not going to, you're going to fall off of it. It's just not going to work. So even if it's, exercising or something like that, figure out a way to make it somewhat fun. A good way to track this is called Don't Break the Chain. And this is a psychological play on just human nature, that people wanting to see things keep going, graphically. I saw quite a few different studies on this and how effective this is. But so, good technique here is if you're going to your input-based goal is I'm going to walk a mile every day, then graphically track that. So each day, just as in the picture that you walk, put an X on a calendar or whatever. There's a bunch of different forms. You just kind of Google it up a little bit. And, honestly, this is so effective. It's kind of crazy. No one wants to break the chain. This has been a cool little trick that I've used. So based on what I went through my wheel of life and thought through my nice goals and stuff, this is my little scorecard that I started. So in my health, I'm gonna work on my internal fat, my visceral fat by walking 2 miles 5 days a week. I want to increase my meditation schedule. And then I do want to start going to church once a month. I can track all those things on my Don't Break the Chain calendar. Same with work, I can do these things. And these are things that I just have to follow them and I can do the break chain. In the relationships, call or text a friend that I haven't seen once a week and then have a phone call or lunch or dinner with one of my brothers and sisters every other week. I can easily track those things. And this is super, super effective. Now, how are we going to organize all this? And here's another great couple little tools here that we'll talk through. And this one is my all-time favorite. Is this idea of an ideal week. And so we've gone through everything. We have some priorities. And now we need to see how this is going to fit into our life. So what we want to do is build a week schedule and schedule things in. And so what I did was I launched another calendar. We use Outlook here at the SBDC. So if you use a Google Calendar, you can do the same thing. But you can open and create a new blank calendar, and then then you can easily overlay it with your normal work calendar and see how it fits. So what you want to do is, like, if everything was just perfect and you wanted to get all your stuff done, this is what your week would look like. So you want to start with yourself first, because as I've been saying, it's so important that you feel good and you take care of yourself first before you start jumping in and grinding out more stuff. So I've shown you my personal goals. I'm going to put those in my ideal week calendar first. And we want to think of in blocks of time, not tasks just yet. That's how we do it. So I'm gonna. So I went to and set up a new calendar here, so you can see what I'm going to do here is every day, 5 days a week. At 5:30, I'll be at the gym, and then I'll come back, and then I'll do some reading and meditation. If you guys are interested, the little framework program that I use is called the 75 Hard program. It sounds horrible, but it's basically not so much a workout thing, but it's more of just a framework that you use to take care of all three, your physical health, your mental health, and your spiritual health. And it fits right in with the Break the Chain also. But look that up. I'm not going to go too much into that today, but anyone can do this. It's fantastic. So, but anyway, so what I've done is every day I've blocked out time for different things. So, I go to the gym first, I do the reading and meditation. And then there's a couple things that will recur that I'll put in there this a good week. But and then so you can see that I have some white space left, and I can overlay this onto my regular calendar. there, I've kind of done that. So you can see that, if I'm going to prioritize these things on my personal part, then, if somebody wants to do, have me do something on one of those in my ideal week calendar, then I know that I can't. And also, this helps with my priority of the things that I want to do is if I want to keep this schedule, if I want to have an ideal week and then use my white space for work, some other things, there may not be enough time left for me to do some of the things that I really wanted to do. Like if I wanted to, take some yoga classes, I may not have time to do that. So this is a good way to kind of see, what that is. So I would really recommend playing around with this. This has been a game changer for me. So another thing that you can use, again, I'll just kind of touch on all this, but is a bullet journal. I know you guys are thinking I'm crazy, but I also do this. This is another thing that's important to me. I think better with paper and pen. I'm really, really good with technology, but I'm also on the flip side a little bit old school on that, where this sort of thing really makes it helps me do that. So I would recommend kind of doing a little research on your own on this, but there's a thing called a weekly spread. It's a different design that you kind of draw by hand. It helps you prepare you for planning. The thing that's super important about the list, this is like your task list, is this priority of it. And this is a super old technique, and it's been kind of rehashed by started in the 1930s by this guy named Ivy League, and then I don't know if you've seen Brian Tracy's Eat This Frog and Harvard's MIT, the most important task sort of thing. But the idea is that each day, out of everything you're supposed to be doing, you choose one thing, your daily challenge, or some people call it daily quest, or most important thing. And that's the thing that needs to get done no matter what. And you work on that first or whatever to get that done. That's another little tip that's really a game changer. And then in your bullet journal, you would add a tracker. This is where I do my break the chain, don't break the chain track in my bullet journal. And then, a lot of people really get into it and they decorate it all up and make really different cool things. So here's one spread that's just kind of daily for the week, where you can kind of see and put some tasks in there. This is another spread that somebody put together on their priorities, and they just write all this out. That was okay. And then here's a couple of little tips that you can move forward with once you kind of organize it. Oddly enough, if you can go through just what we've talked about before, it can drastically improve the way you are coming forth in doing things. So, the little things like I need another timer app or things like that just kind of doesn't make sense anymore. So here's another cool book that I read too. Somebody is today by Matthew Dix. He's kind of he's like a high school English teacher, and he's written a bunch of fiction books and kind of interesting guy. But he had some stuff, really cool stuff to say in this book that really kind of resonated with me. And this was this idea of productivity is not pretty. That really people want to have everything in order or have some sort of solution to make productivity work. But it doesn't matter where you are or what you can't you can be productive anywhere at any time right now. So he's a great example about people that want to write a great novel, and they they just think about it, they feel like they can't for one reason or another, and he compares that to the soldiers in World War I in the trenches, and where a ton of really great literature came out of that horrible conflict. But these guys were writing on scraps of paper, in the middle of a battle. But there was something that was very important to them to produce that sort of stuff. And so he also talks about minutes, minutes like, you can get something done in 2 or 3 minutes waiting in line in Starbucks. You can pull something up on your phone and work on that. And then this was a really cool one, a little tidbit he had shared with in the book was the lily pad method, and that most people think of when they're producing or creating something that it's a linear process, and really that is not the case. You can jump all around. So his message is, just start where you are. He shares a cool story in there about having a conversation with an author who wanted to write a memoir. And he asked her how much she had written, and she said she hadn't started yet because she felt like she needed to do some more research and collect some things. And he said, well, what do you know now? She said, well, this later period, I know some stuff about that or have information on that. He goes, well, you can start with that. You don't have to start at the beginning. You can start in the middle, or you can start anywhere. That's, where you kind of jump around. So, the main thing with him is, to have vague goals and jump around and work towards these things. He calls those horizon goals. You just roughly want to get here. So he's not a big fan of long-term planning. He calls that the piano precedent. He says if you plan 5 years in advance, somebody's going to drop a piano on your head and just blow it all up anyway. So why do that? So he's very interested in also thinking through, like, what can you accomplish now with what you have? And he says it's very important to understand what the purpose of those goals are. And then this is another cool book that I read, the Feel Good Productivity book, Ali Abdaal, good guy. So he talked about his big thing is time blocking, and I found that very helpful too. Is like, once you put your task list together for the day, it's like you batch these things together and you block time in your calendar. You put that in your calendar, so you should be able to see where you have time available in the white space based on your ideal week calendar and what your obligations are at work. And you just plug in time to get these things done. So, there's quite a bit of evidence that shows that people who jump from one different task to another, they lose time and focus because their brain almost has to reset into a different type of thought process. So if you can group a bunch of tasks or things that you need to do together that are similar and make sense together, then you actually can be more productive and get things done that way. So that's his thing. So the other thing that he found very important with goal setting is this idea of purposeful reflection on what you've done. And he was very, very clear on how important it was to him that at the end of the day, you reflect on your wins, what went well, and then also on a Sunday evening, Monday morning / same thing. How did the week go? What were the wins? What went really well? Kind of reflect on how things went, and then maybe take a second or two to plan the upcoming week if you can. That I've done that a little bit. I have a hard time with that. So it's about the end of it here today. Those are the few things I've been working on. So I have just gone through all these different techniques and tools. I've made it my goal to use them for once a month and see how that goes. Some I didn't like. I just barely got through it. Others I use to this day. The main thing is to, you know, to, just see what works for you and put it together in some sort of system. Um, so, so if you guys want to, we'll take a few minutes and, you have any questions or just want to talk about anything or share some comments about what works for you guys so we can all have that, that'd be awesome. Let's see what we have in the chat here. Emma, yeah, the nice goals, near term, input based. Yeah, we're going to send you the slides there, Kara. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, C was controllable and E was energizing. So yeah. The nice goal idea is really cool. I think that if I was to do anything, I would start with that, and then couple that with the break the chain calendar, whatever, just kind of hanging up on the wall where you can see it. Let's see. So yeah. So just if you have any questions or anything, just kind of put it in the chat there. We will get to it if we can. Yeah. How would you track progress you make with your goals? That's a good question, Emma. So, a couple of ways in tracking progress. Like I'm working really hard to think in this idea of the nice goals about in near term. So I'm tracking weekly, and in my little in my little journal book, then I track those goals. I'm doing something every day. So, for example, the walking goal, the gym goal. So I go to gym twice a day. I'm lucky enough to be able to have a personal trainer, so I have that accountability. But the walking part is something that I can make tons of excuses why I don't want to do it or I don't feel like doing it. But I track those inputs, those daily things every day. At the end of the week, when I look back through my tracker in my journal, my bullet journal, I want, it's something, honestly, it's really weird and spooky, but you want to put that X on the next day and show that you completed. So the idea is not to track your progress towards the end goal. It's to track progress within the small period. That's where the outcome, the big goal will take care of itself. If you can always take care of it within the small period, that's the best way to think about it. So again, that's how I do it, and that doesn't mean it's right. It just works. It just works for me. So yeah, this whole idea of morning time has been a game changer, because I used to just, I'm an early riser. I would get up at 5 and be out the door by 5:20, so I could be at Starbucks at 5:30 when they open. Unlocking the door, I'd be standing there waiting to get in there. So I still drink a lot of coffee, and that's important to me too. But I arrange things differently. So now I have intentional time, quiet time, where I do a few things in that morning block of time on my ideal calendar. And again, do what works for you. But spending 45 minutes to an hour, carving that out first thing. And honestly, I know you have a bunch of kids, you got to get them ready for school and stuff like that. I mean, maybe that's not an ideal time for you. It's just the thing is just find a moment, some moments to do these things. And so I do a couple things. I'll just share this with you. So, my morning routine is that there's this thing called morning pages. So, my journal thing. I think it was in the book, The Writer's Way, The Artist's Way. The idea of morning pages of just writing a page, two or three. The author, I forget his name now. Recommended 3 pages. You just write 3 pages of whatever's on your mind, whatever you can do. Sometimes when I started out, I'm not a person that ever journaled much when in my life. And so I'm sitting and looking at a blank piece of paper thinking like, what the heck am I going to say? I don't know. So I would just write whatever. I would write, it's 5:30 a.m. It's cold outside and just write and write. And then, but after a while, I found it very helpful. And then an interesting fact I learned, or if you just look through read any, biographies of great people in history, George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or Winston Churchill or a lot of those guys, the bulk of them did something similar. They had a journal or a diary or whatever they wanted to call it, where they just wrote and thought out things and just put it on paper. And that really has been another game changer because it allows me to really, crystallize my thoughts for what's coming up for the day, ideas and things that I hadn't thought, that just kind of bubble up to the surface. That's been really cool. The other thing that I do, and I would recommend anybody to do is, and I came across a really great study. I'm telling you about all these studies, but I don't have any citations to show you. But about people that are struggling with depression and having some mental health issues. Something that's super helpful is to have a gratitude list every morning. Like, what are 5 or so things that I'm really grateful that I have every day, and that really sets the tone for the day if you can kind of do that. So those are a couple of little silly things that I do that work for me. And so the main thing is if you start poking around on some of this stuff, you'll find a lot of different techniques. And the fun thing is to kind of try them out and then cobble them together in kind of a system. So I've got kind of a system almost ready to go. Not quite there yet, but pretty daggone close. Hopefully I'm going to roll that out in September. But yeah. Cheryl, how are you? Good to see you today. Cheryl says, how do you know if it's procrastination rather than hibernation? That's a good one. That is a great question. Yeah. That is a good question. So I think they're both sort of the same thing. So I was really, I'll just talk about me personally. So, I don't know, 2, 3 years ago, I was just having a hard time, and I found myself, maybe it was hibernation, maybe that's a better word, where, I could sort of moving things forward, I would almost do nothing and, start scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or something and look up and it'd be an hour later and like I'd just burn through an hour. But and honestly, I guess I felt like I was just trying to shut down or something. I don't know. So yeah. So I don't know. I did find out that once I went through this fear setting exercise and kind of naming those fears and the things I'm thinking about and worried about, and trying to figure out, what you're hiding or / hibernating from was really kind of the game changer. So yeah, I would do that. I would just kind of think through that. And a lot of these thought experiments like the fear setting exercise, it's just not a one and done. You have to do it a few times and kind of think through that. So Emma says, was there an event that prompted these practices for you? Not everybody would mention building their spiritual health. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it kind of is. I don't know, maybe honestly, Emma, man, this is a really deep question. You're putting me on the spot. But I guess it was just everything that hit, during the pandemic. A lot of people changed their lives in the pandemic, some for the better, some for worse. And I was just at a super low point at that time. And I didn't even know it, but I can remember laying in bed very early in the morning thinking, you know, if this was a hospital bed and I was ready to die, would I be happy with what I had been doing or had been, the way things, and I just I don't know, just needed to do something different. And once came to that realization that something had to change, and I looked at the people around me and saw, how it was affecting them as well. I just needed to do something. And um, being spiritual is important. That's part of everybody's life. And whether it doesn't, maybe it's, I'm not honestly like where I go to, into a specific religion or anything, but I feel I like that. So I grew up with a big giant Catholic family, and I would just feel comfortable with the pomp and circumstance of all that stuff. And I like to go to a Catholic church every now and once a month or so, just to feel that. But I don't do the Catholic thing. I've gone to Presbyterian churches way more than Catholic churches for just to kind of explore things. But I think that you know, finding what resonates for you is a piece of your life that you should nurture. Whatever works for you. So that was a tough one, Emma. Yeah, Kendra, would you recommend integrating these techniques with team members at work, or should we keep focused on leadership roles? Well, as in, I have I've shared all this stuff with my team, and whether they use it or not is up to them. But I think the main thing, Kendra, is that you have to start with yourself. You have to work with yourself, and if you're not feeling good, both mentally and physically, um, I mean, you can't be an effective leader. You know, um, I mean, when I was at my lowest, I was having trouble making decisions, and that was something else that I really needed to work on. I needed to clear out a lot of that stuff that was holding me back, and really open up you know, my mental headspace. I mean, that's when you're in the thick of battle, sometimes you don't realize how much all that stuff is affecting you in a way. So, um, but yeah, I would focus on myself first, and I would share. And but some of the things though, like the ideal week calendar, things like that, that's a no-brainer. I mean, that works great, regardless of what journey you're on. That's kind of a technique. And that and the daily challenge, just having the top of mind task thing. So you guys asked some great questions. I really appreciate that. Um, yeah, good question, Kendra and Emma. That was a killer question. Thank you for that. So yeah, anything else? We're about at the top of the hour here now. So, um, but yeah, that was fun. If you guys want to talk a little bit more about it, or want to pick my brain on how I do things, and maybe I can learn something from you as well, just kind of hit me up. You can go to our website at louisvillesmallbusiness.com, open the Coach Connect thing, and it'd be great to have a little chat with you on Zoom. It's always fun. I love this stuff. I'm really, really kind of learning myself too. Hey, Cheryl says, I use a whiteboard weekly to write down goals, plans. However, when I have a big issue, I tend to hibernate. Okay, Cheryl, that's when you should do the fear setting exercise right there. Now I get it. And I am right there with you because I am the same way. I shut down for a bit. Yeah. But honestly, the fear setting exercise is the best. And if you can get around to reading Ryan Holiday's books on Stoicism, see, there's two great ones. The Obstacle is the Way and Courage, killer books. It's not like philosophy at all. It's really a way to live a good balanced life, actually. So, thank you, Tyson. Thanks for saying that. Though. But again, littlesmallbusiness.com, the little tab at the top, Coach Connect. Click there. You'll see me and my other folks. Please set up a Zoom call with one of us. We'd love to talk more about this. Thanks for joining, everybody. So it looks like it's 1 o'clock. Time to go back to work. Thanks for joining me, and I'm glad everything worked out well without Janet and everybody helping me today. So come see us next week. Next week we talking about business credit. That's a good one. So have a good Tuesday, and thanks again. I really enjoyed having and seeing you guys. So bye-bye.